Welcome back, Everyday Business Leaders. I'm Melanie Ake, your host for today's show, coming to you from JP the Geek Studio right here in Greenwood, Indiana. I am thrilled to have you with us today. We have Darin Hays from Peace Family Counseling. We are excited. We're going to learn all about his business, what it is like to be a therapist, and what you can learn about this. So join me. We're connecting and celebrating remarkable business leaders from our very own community. They're actually helping us redefine the way we think and grow. Now remember, subscribe to our channel and turn your notifications on so you never miss an episode. Are you ready to meet Darin? Here we go. Hi, Darin.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
This is awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited.
We met at Aspire Coffee Connections.
Yes.
That's a great place to meet people.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun going around, seeing all the new faces, and I caught you right at the end, and we had a great conversation.
It is. And so it's where all of our businesses in Johnson County come together and just have a free networking meeting.
Yeah.
So tell me about Peace Family Counseling. When you guys joined Aspire, you're a group of therapists. And so for people that have never used therapy in their life, you guys decided to join because you're a local business now. And talk to us about kind of what your business represents in the community.
Yeah, I mean, therapy is one of those things that is kind of a hot topic right now. People talk about it a lot, but I think, we want to be able to empower people to be the best versions of themselves that they can be, right? And so that's essentially our job, is to empower others and to help guide people through hard times, or even if you just want to grow. And so, I think that's something that at any point in life, there's benefit to that, but especially in our area. We've been around for actually a really long time. We were called Southside Pastoral Counseling. Gary Nichols actually started the counseling service, and then we've grown and kind of changed, and so we changed our name to Peace Family Counseling about a year and a half ago. And so trying to kind of rebrand, remarket, and reach out to really anyone who needs kind of help or guidance or thinks that would be helpful. So, yeah.
How has the counseling changed since the pandemic? Since you guys kind of took this over a year and a half ago, but thinking about the people that really need it, because I think right now it's the after effects that people are experiencing.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, I think, to some extent, people have always had depression or anxiety or family issues. I think really what happened with the pandemic was it kind of put a magnifying glass on things that were already there. So a lot of times I like to say we kind of stumble through life just kind of wondering why things are happening or why we feel a certain way. And the pandemic made it so that wasn't really as easy as it had been before. And so, I mean, now we're seeing, I've recently entered the field, so I didn't see the midst of it. I was in school during the pandemic, but I've started in the field now. And, even working with kids, you see some of the changes with, oh man, I remember during that time, this caused me to feel anxious and these type of things. And it is kind of wild to see the effects, even after effects. It's, while it was a few years ago now, it's still playing a very big role even today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, you can relate to that. What got you into this? What made you interested in counseling?
Yeah, it was kind of took the scenic route, actually. So when I was in high school, I actually got to go to a trade school, do vocational college, and got an electrical technologies degree.
Oh my gosh!
And I enjoyed it, but I just kept having this nagging sense that I wanted to do more than just make money and retire. And no offense to people who do electrical degree, I really did enjoy it, and actually helped me pay through college for part of it too. So. But I knew I wanted to do something more to really, really reach out to people. That was kind of where my heart was. And so my goal initially was to do an after-school program for at-risk kids and do some type of even career development, things like that. And that's still kind of, maybe on the horizon, something like that can develop. But as I went through college, I got my undergrad in social work, and my supervisor, she was a counselor, and I got to help her with that, and she really encouraged me to consider counseling, and said, you've got a gift, and I think you could do a lot of good. And it was one of those things that sounded scary. That would involve, if I wanted to be a counselor, I needed more schooling. That was more investment. But the more I thought about it, the more I prayed about it, just kind of really weighed on my heart, like, okay, I think this is a step I want to take. And so I went ahead and got my master's in social work, and I've loved counseling and trying to learn all that I can, and really enjoy working with people one-on-one, and getting to walk with them in the little bit of time I get to see them. So.
Well, I study so much about leadership, and we talk about the law of trade-offs. You know, this is a classic example.
Yeah.
You have to really give up a lot of stuff to be able to grow up and think, what is it that you really want out of your life? And I think it's important to kind of recognize that you went through school during the pandemic.
Yeah.
So you were reevaluating things that you were going to do growing.
Yeah.
And you didn't have to say, oh, I'm not happy, and I'm going to readjust.
Yeah, no, there was a lot of readjustment for sure during that time. I also got married during the pandemic, so
gosh.
There was planning a wedding, there was, navigating, trying to get an apartment and getting through school and all of that. But I do think, it's one of those things, when you face hard times, you have opportunities for growth in the midst of those. Hardship and pain doesn't have to equal, a lack of growth or despair. And it actually forced me to, who do I want to be, and how do I want to get there? So, yeah, absolutely.
So from the team, I know Joe has your website pulled up. I want to kind of go there, kind of see some of the other therapists that you work with. And
absolutely.
Are any of them your mentors? Did somebody bring you in specifically?
Yeah. So kind of, again, scenic route. So my wife is from this area. I actually grew up in Oklahoma and went to school in Missouri. But then my wife is from here, and her father works at a church, and he knew Lisa Franklin, as well as Gary Nichols, who are at the practice. And if you just go up to the top under the About drop down, and then it says Our Therapist.
Oh, there you go.
Perfect. Yeah. So he knew them, and he encouraged me to reach out to them when I got my master's. We were considering moving up here, and trying to figure out where could I work, and he said reach out to Lisa, and I did, and we had a lot of good conversations, and so she hired me and brought me on. So I moved up here, started a new job, and I work a lot with her, and even right there you can see. All that she does. She's worked for many years in the field, and she's incredible at what she does. And kind of really, she's taken over pieces, kind of took it over from Gary as he turns, kind of phases into retirement. And she's doing a really great job. And but her and Luke and Caitlin, the other people, they've all been really helpful in my growth, and really everyone. We're kind of a mini family, so. We all just kind of support each other, and there's Stacy and Lisa, other Lisa. So absolutely. Yeah.
That's wonderful.
I love working there. They've been a lot of help. So
it's about peace family, right?
Yes, yeah. It creates that family. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So tell me about the type of people that you serve. If someone's looking for counseling, there's so many services that are available. There's so many, nonprofits that are out there. What's your exact target audience that says, I need to pick up the phone and call you right now?
Yeah, absolutely. So I really see a wide range, but essentially 12 and up. And I like to specialize with teens and young adults. However, that being said, I've seen everyone clear up to retirement age and navigated retirement. Really, my specialty is emotional dysregulation, which is a fancy way of saying if you feel like you've been having a lot of anger outbursts and wondering where they're coming from, or if you're anxious or depressed. Those are kind of three areas I work with a lot. And so I like exploring what are ways we can get through those moments, and then even dig deeper as to why am I even feeling these things in the first place. So yes, let's navigate our anxiety and navigate our anger, coping mechanisms, sure, but also what's causing such turmoil inside of me to even get to that point. And so I really enjoy that work. So really emotional dysregulation, and then 12 and up is kind of open to whoever might think I could be a help. So,
I want to make a kind of a statement here because, from the coaching perspective, I do business coaching and consulting, but a lot of people will come to me and say, I'm struggling with these things, right? And so a lot of times you have to say, this just is not in the lane that you serve, because a lot of people, through COVID said, I'm going to be a coach because I've experienced that pain or anxiety or depression. And I think it's really important for people to understand counseling is different. Therapy is different than just coaching. Like having goals and wanting to achieve more is all great.
Right.
But there are a lot of things that you have to unpack.
Yeah, absolutely. It's I think the term counseling can kind of be, I guess, used more freely. And so I've really been encouraged by some of my colleagues to use the term therapist, because it is a different approach where I am licensed. I have gone to schooling of, okay, yes, we've got these goals to achieve, but kind of getting that deeper level of how can we make sure that this is long-lasting success, not just checking a goal off the box, but really knowing your heart better in the process. It's one of those things where I think in order to achieve our long-term goals, in order to even care for others well, we have to be able to care for ourselves. And I think that's, the self-care conversation is in a great way being talked about more. And I think that's really encouraging, but I think it's a lot more detailed and takes a lot more work than many times is promoted, I guess. And I love getting to walk alongside people and figure out what does true self-care really look like, because it's harder to do than many people admit, I guess.
Yeah, it is, and it's really scary for a lot of people.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
To say when you think about like anxiety or depression, or you're getting anger, right?
Yeah.
You're angry at something, or your job's not working out, and so you go, well, I don't need a therapist.
Yeah.
I just need to go be with friends.
Right.
Right. But
Yeah.
sometimes there's something deeper in there. And so how do you kind of reach out to people and say, it's okay? Like, do you do an evaluation? What's the process when somebody reaches out to you?
Yeah, so like if someone is to give us a call, we do free 15-minute phone calls where we just can talk to you and say, tell me a little bit, kind of what I always say is, tell me a snapshot about what you'd like to work on or what's bothering you, and then we can kind of talk about what are ways that I would address that, what are things we can talk about, and whether I think I would be a good fit. And kind of back to what you're saying, every therapist is different, I think, in two different ways. One is just our specialties, right? So maybe after a conversation, I feel like I don't have the specialty that would best serve your needs, and then I would have a referral, right? I don't just want to leave that there. I'd find someone that does. But then the other thing is personality too. I think in those phone conversations we can see, hey, do we gel well? Can we click? And do you feel like you really could open up and allow me to work with you? And I think those are super important. And it's okay to not be a great fit with your first therapist, and to find someone who really can help you, be the person you want to be in life. So, yeah.
What would you say, just from your studying, how long, if somebody does start a program, how long do they typically stay to find that change or peace? Yeah.
That's a really good question. And that's one I get a good amount in therapy. And I think it really depends on what you're working with, and even varies person to person. But normally what we say is we encourage going for at least 3 or 4 sessions. Normally by that third or fourth session, you're really starting to get into things. So I normally ask people, give it a try for a few weeks. And then at the end, if you feel like this isn't helpful, let's revisit that and see if there's another referral. But once you get to that 4th week or so, now you're really starting to dig into things. We've gotten to know each other. We've built some trust. And then normally I'd say around 10 sessions or so, if it's just kind of some emotional dysregulation. If we're working with more trauma and stuff like that, it can be around 15 to 20 sessions. But all of that's it's always scary to say those numbers, because it really depends. And then some people like to continue to go to therapy kind of as a maintenance or a checkup, like you would the doctor or a chiropractor or something. I think that's super beneficial for really anyone. One of the things I like to say is therapy is not for people who are crazy. It's for people who want to grow, and really want to take the time to invest in themselves so that they can care for others and even care for themselves better. So.
It's kind of a private space where you can just say, let me make sure that everything is clear, right?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of things that even if you've got a great relationship with someone that you can say, almost everything to, it's kind of nice to have someone who's just a separate party who can just hear you out and kind of give an objective viewpoint and just kind of really let you process the things that have been bouncing around your head, Yeah, absolutely.
That's so great. So talk to me, because I know a lot of people say, oh, I've tried it, or I haven't, or it's expensive, or how do I access funding?
Yes.
What do you recommend? What's the best way for financial services? Are there programs that can help people pay for these services?
Hi, I'm Melanie Ake, founder of Everyday Leaders. and I'm excited to share with you a new training resource for your team called the Leadership Game. The Leadership Game is a tool. It's administered exclusively by John Maxwell team members. And when you bring this assessment tool in to lead your organization, it shows you the current level of your leadership and gives you tangible and actionable results to move forward. So don't delay. Get in the game, the Leadership Game, exclusively from Everyday Leaders.
Yeah, so we don't accept insurance, so we are a self-pay organization, and part of that is because of some of the issues that we have had with insurance in the past. And actually on our website, if you're curious, there's kind of some more of that story on there. But because of that, a lot of times we'll actually partner, some local churches will partner with us and help fund. And so one of the things I like to say is churches are a great resource that sometimes is untapped. And so that's an option. And then also we do provide super bills. And so we are all licensed, and you can apply for reimbursement to your insurance. So sometimes that's an option as well. But really what the self-pay does is it gives us more freedom to be able to meet the client where they're at.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, because many times with insurance we get limited in kind of what we can do and can't do, and then at times they don't really they're not always the most effective. And so actually, if you'll see right there, there's a Mentaya, make sure I'm saying that right, Mentaya app, and you can put in your information. It takes like 15 seconds, and it'll tell you whether you would qualify for reimbursement. And so then you could fill that out with your insurance separately, and we don't have to go through all the loopholes, and it kind of can help give us both more freedom so we're able to meet the client where we need to.
Well, I think that's a lot of anxiety, right? If people even saying, oh, I can't afford that, there's no way that I need it, but, and so I really love that you have resources for that. And people, maybe they're FSAs too, right? So that they can use funding for that, just like they do the chiropractor.
Absolutely.
Or other services.
Yeah. A lot of people use like HSA cards and stuff like that, and all of those options are available, and the goal in all of it, what I always say is therapy it's for you, it's not for me. My goal isn't to steal all your money or take advantage of your time. I want to make this a worthwhile investment, and I want to work with you. And so we'll come up with a plan, and if that means you need to have a referral elsewhere, we totally understand. Our goal is your health. So again, therapy is for you, it's not for us, not for me. So. Yeah.
Well, it's a lot. Thank you for what you do, because it is a lot. Everything is needed. Yeah. And I think post-COVID, we talk about therapy, we talk about coaching and counseling, and people are really trying to assess, what makes sense individually or with families. Have you kind of seen an uptake in people bringing their loved ones to you? Yeah.
We get a good amount of those calls, and partly because I'm earlier on in the field, I haven't seen a lot of. I'm not sure where the changes are. But I do know presently there's a lot of times where people are calling for a loved one, and we can discuss the options we have. But of course, if they're an adult, we always encourage them to be the ones to reach out. But we do get a lot of concerned family members. Hey, I've got this loved one. How can we help? What options do you guys have? And we'd love to discuss what is available, and
sometimes the therapy is for you to deal with the family member.
Yes,
right?
Exactly, and that's totally a acceptable and good reason to reach out to therapy, right? It's like I said, it doesn't matter who you are. I personally believe that everyone can benefit from taking some time to evaluate ourselves and kind of process, man, how am I handling this family member or this feeling or this event or the job or whatever, fill in the blank. There's always something.
So talk to me about your schooling, because I think, for a lot of people that may have gone through schooling for this in the past, since you're so kind of new to this, what are some of the new techniques that have changed that you've learned that have really helped you get ready for this?
Yeah, that's a good question. So a lot of my undergrad, I got a bachelor's in social work. I also got a bachelor's in in interdisciplinary studies at Ozark Christian College. And so that was essentially like a general Bible degree. But then I went on to get my master's in social work at the University of Arkansas. And, with all of that, we learned one of the things my professor and my supervisor, she said is by the time you graduate, you're going to have essentially a inch deep understanding of things, but a mile wide. So you know a little bit about a lot. And so even since graduating, I've taken some further education on cognitive behavioral therapy and some other options like that. And so really in a lot of ways, the therapeutic process doesn't have a lot of drastic changes over time. So there have been, slight adjustments to techniques, things like that. But in reality, the process is providing a safe opportunity to have a secure attachment with someone else, where it's a healthy and safe environment, right? And so, a lot of the processes are tried and true. And they have been effective for a long time. And so unlike some fields where technology and all of that changes drastically, really the therapeutic process, at the end of the day, we're all humans who long for a connection with each other. I think we're designed that way. And so that's kind of something that we can help provide for an hour within a week or whatever that looks like.
Well, and AI can't really take that over, right?
No, not at all. Yeah, no,
it's a pretty safe field.
Yeah, it's fascinating. And I guess that is one way. And the way that the techniques haven't drastically changed, our understanding of the essential aspect of the human-to-human connection, that has deepened. That's something we've kind of all felt like was important, but in further understanding in science, the ways that our brains even relate to each other, there is some amazing literature and deeper understanding that we truly need human-to-human interaction. And I think in the age of social media and AI, there's so many benefits in all of that, but there's also a huge detriment in when we lose the raw, honest interaction human-to-human. I think that's where a lot of mental health issues come up, because we need each other. We're not meant to do this alone, and I think that's definitely evident. Whether it's social media or therapy or just talking to a family member or a friend, we need that.
So the big question is, I'm sure everybody's watching this going, okay, do you do these on Zoom or in person?
Yes, yeah. Yeah, so we provide both. We can do in person or we can go, telehealth as well. I always encourage and I prefer to do in person simply because of exactly what I said. You can have some of that over a screen, but there is, again, the science has shown just having the connection, our brains actually mirror each other and can kind of co-regulate together. And that's just limited over a screen. Pixels don't quite seem to do it the same way as in person. That being said, sometimes you're in a place where telehealth is your only option. And we do provide that and love getting to do that. I think that is one benefit of COVID, the ability to do that. Everyone kind of was forced to figure out how to, and now, though, everyone is able to, or most everyone, and so that is kind of a benefit there. So, yes, we can do either one, but I always say, man, if possible, come in person. So.
Yeah. The people that say, I don't know how to use Zoom, I'm like,
yeah.
Where were you?
Yeah, how'd you make it through?
Did you just go to sleep for 4 years?
Yeah. Oh dear. Yes. Yeah.
Everybody had to click a link, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And we do, so the program that we use sends out an automatic link. So even if you don't know how to use Zoom, you should be able to just click a button and bring it up, and then I'll control the rest. So
super convenient.
Yeah.
So you're in the hot seat today.
Yes, I am.
And I have a couple of fun questions that I'd love to ask from a group that we went to, Food for Thought. They have all these amazing philosophical quotes.
Yeah.
So, are you in?
I'm down. Let's do it.
Okay, so let's draw from the top here and just read the question, and if you could, just answer that for your thoughts on what this means to maybe your patients.
Yeah, absolutely. So the quote here is, the true measure of a person's character is how they treat someone that can neither help them nor hurt them. And it's an anonymous quote. But then the question is, why do you think people do or say mean things to other people? I think this is a really good question. I mean, I think no matter who you are, you've had a point where someone said something mean to you, and probably, if we're honest, there's times where we've said or done something mean to someone else. One of the things I talk about with emotional regulation, this often comes up. Why did I act that way? Why did I do this thing, say this thing? Or even, how do I handle someone else who's doing or saying mean things? And many times what I talk about is our our brains are designed to protect us, to keep us alive. And if we feel threatened, if we feel vulnerable, if we feel hurt in any way, our brain actually kicks into the fight, flight, or freeze response in order to protect us, right? And this is a good thing, right? I want that to happen if I'm feeling threatened, a bear's attacking me, something like that, right? But many times our brain actually reacts the same way. If you were to say something mean to me, my brain would react like a bear's attacking me. And so I'm going to shut off the logic center of my brain. I'm not worried about problem solving. I've just got to survive. Mm-hmm. And so this is where I might react in a way that I wonder afterwards, where did that even come from? Like I never would have dreamt of saying that or doing that. And it's because we're kind of kicking into that reaction survival mode, right? So part of what we do in therapy, part of what I work with is what's the danger here and why am I reacting that way? You know, how can I navigate when I do have that big reaction? Mm-hmm. But also where's the danger here? Why do I feel like I'm at risk and needing to protect myself? And so really working on the deeper heart level things.
So are there different levels of bears?
Yeah. No, that's a good question. Yeah. So the bear analogy, you know, is something I use a lot because that's when we want it to kick in, mm-hmm. right? So we've got a center of our brain that's problem solving. You're in that at work. We're in that right now. But if we get elevated, if we get worked up, you'll notice you'll start sweating more, right? You're ready for a fight. Your body's protecting you. And so, you know, with the bear thing, our brain treats it all like it's a bear. Mm-hmm. But in reality, what we want to do is realize, no, this isn't life or death. This is someone who said something that hurt my feelings, right? Or this made me uncomfortable. That doesn't mean that my body needs to react, mm-hmm. like I need to fight, to run, or to freeze up, mm-hmm. right? And so kind of walking through those moments. So yes, there is a different level of a bear, maybe it's a teddy bear that we're reacting like it's a grizzly. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
But that's so important, right?
Yeah.
Because if people can start to understand how to break that down,
yeah,
it can really change how they engage with people in their lives.
Yeah, yeah.
Things that they want to do, the potential that they can reach.
Yeah, mm-hmm. absolutely. Yeah, I think it's one of those things, you know, I've met a lot of people and no offense to the men, but a lot of men who are scared to take the time to evaluate our emotions, and it's scary and vulnerable to admit that we're emotional people. Mm-hmm. But I think for all of us, men, women, whoever you are, I think as we're able to acknowledge ourselves and evaluate ourselves, we're able to be more present for others and even present in the ways that we want to be. And I think that the times when we don't take those moments to pause and evaluate, how am I reacting? You know, is there a bear here that I'm sensing? Mm-hmm. If we don't take those moments, it limits our potential and it causes us to either hurt others, or even if we don't hurt others, just not ever be able to achieve who we want to be. Mm-hmm. And so I think there's such a value to taking that time to see where I'm at personally.
Yep. Yeah. Those root causes, right?
Yeah.
Those root causes.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I have one more question.
Okay.
We've got time for one more question. Yeah. I'm gonna ask this. Actually, I'm gonna have you read it since I'm a little hoarse.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Let's see. The quote is, "Anger is just one letter short of danger."
Ooh.
Yeah. And then the question is, why do you think anger can be dangerous? And is there any instances where anger does something positive? This is a really good question. I actually think there are instances where anger is not bad. I don't think any emotion is actually good or bad innately. It's what we do with that emotion, right? So if anger is my instant reaction or maybe overreaction to something, that often causes danger. That often can be dangerous. But if anger is used as an emotion that prompts action, it brings me to make a change. Maybe if I see an injustice in the world or an issue that needs to be dealt with, you know, even on Everyday Leaders podcast, right? If you're a business person and you see a need here or something that could be filled, that anger at injustice or at someone who is being put in a vulnerable situation, I think that actually prompts us to protect others and to care for others. Mm-hmm. And there can be a healthy form of anger that's not a reactionary anger, mm-hmm. but an anger that brings growth and empowering others, not tearing others down. Mm-hmm. And I think finding the ways to use that energy that we feel in productive ways rather than explosive or destructive ways.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, in coaching, we talk about this all the time. Your pain becomes your message.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, absolutely.
Your pain becomes your purpose.
Yes.
And so, but doing that, coaching versus counseling, there's a big difference.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
There's a big difference.
Yeah.
So I so appreciate you just sharing the day with us and
absolutely
sharing what you do and why you do it. I think is so important. How can people reach out to you? How can they find you the best?
Yeah. So obviously, if you go to our website is peacefamilycounseling.com, and that's like love, joy, peace. And if you go on there, you can reach out. We've got a phone number. We've got an email you can reach out to. You can look through all our profiles. I've got a video on there if you want to see a little bit about what I do. But also I have a personal work number you can reach out to. Also on the website, it's 317-868-2998, and that is my personal work number. And so I check that during business hours and can respond that way, as well as my email, Darin, D-A-R-I-N, @peacefamilycounseling.com.
There you go. There you go. Well, thank you for coming by.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, come back and see us.
Okay, I would love to. I would love to.
And probably we'll see you and other business leaders at the next Coffee Connections, right?
Absolutely. Looking forward to it. So
awesome.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, Darin.
Thank you.
And thank you for following us today. This has been really great. Another episode of Everyday Business Leaders. I hope you were inspired to think and grow differently about your business, but maybe how you can help your employees and those that you love, including yourself. Remember, the journey of growth and innovation, it never ends, and it's our mission to keep bringing you the best insights from our local community. So stay tuned for more episodes filled with wisdom, innovation, and inspiration. This is Melanie Ake signing off from JP the Geek Studio, where they say better IT service is just a call away. They say own it, secure it, and protect it. Until next time, don't forget, subscribe to our channel and turn those notifications on so you never miss an episode. Everyday Leaders helps you to develop strategies to be a better leader in your life. Because it's not what you do in a day, it's what you do every day that makes the most impact. Thanks for following us.